The morning sun spilled through the thick forest canopy, painting the ground in patches of gold and green. The alien students stirred, tired from their first night on Earth. Their limbs ached from climbing, running, and stumbling over uneven terrain. The forest was alive with sounds, chirps, rustles, and distant roars, and every movement seemed to hide a threat. Professor Orlan gathered the students near a shallow river. Today, he said, we will venture deeper into the forest. You will observe, survive, and learn why Earth is called a death world. Stay alert, work as a team, and remember what you saw yesterday. Lyra took a deep breath. Her translucent skin shimmered faintly under the sun as she adjusted her gear. Kiro, still mud-stained from yesterday, flexed his forearms, ready for the challenge. Tiri's skin shifted to a muted green, blending with the shadows around her. The group moved cautiously, each step measured. Small insects scuttled past them, birds flitted overhead, and every rustle of leaves made them freeze. They had learned quickly that even the smallest movement could attract attention. After an hour, they reached a clearing. The ground was littered with broken branches and the remains of small creatures. Lyra knelt down and examined the scene. Predators are very efficient, she whispered. They leave nothing behind. Kiro shook his head. I didn't realize survival meant so much. Everything is against you here, Orlan nodded. On Earth, every creature has adapted to survive. That includes humans. We learn to face danger, improvise, and act quickly. You'll see why humans thrive here, even among so many threats. Their lesson began with a survival exercise, collecting food. The students were instructed to find edible plants and small animals without falling prey to predators. Simple enough on their homeworlds, but Earth had different rules. Lyra moved carefully along the edge of a stream. She spotted a small plant with bright red berries. As she bent down, a shadow crossed the water. A sleek, black predator had emerged from the underbrush. Its eyes locked on the students, muscles coiled. Back! Orlan shouted. He grabbed a branch and swung it toward the creature, startling it. It froze, then slinked back into the shadows. Lyra's heart raced. She realized that even plants and berries came with risk. Kiro, not far away, tried to catch a small mammal for food. His forearms allowed him to move quickly, but the animal was fast and clever. After several attempts, he finally trapped it using a net he had crafted with Orlan's guidance. This is different from anything I've done before, he said, holding the struggling creature. Every move counts. Tiri had been observing quietly, blending into the shadows. She noticed tracks leading toward a dense thicket. Curious, she signaled to Orlan. Something larger is here, she said. He nodded, impressed. Good observation, he said. Notice the tracks. We can learn a lot about predators by watching and analyzing. This is how humans survive. They watch, predict, and adapt. The students continued deeper into the forest, facing one challenge after another. They crossed streams with slippery stones, avoided poisonous plants, and climbed steep hills. Every step tested their balance, speed, and awareness. Around midday, they encountered a sudden danger. A flash of movement in the trees above revealed a predatory bird swooping down. Lyra froze, but Orlan reacted immediately. He shouted and threw a small device that emitted a loud noise, distracting the bird. It veered away, screeching angrily. That was close! Lyra gasped. Her heart pounded. I thought we were careful, but it almost got me. Orlan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Earth teaches vigilance. Danger can appear anywhere, at any time. Humans learn to expect the unexpected. By afternoon, the students began to notice something remarkable. Despite the constant dangers, they were adapting. Lyra moved with more confidence, spotting hidden threats before they arrived. Kiro had learned to anticipate the movements of small animals, making traps more efficient. Tiri's camouflage allowed her to observe without drawing attention. They reached a riverbank where a small waterfall tumbled into a pool below. Orlan instructed them to collect water safely, avoiding predators and poisonous plants nearby. Lyra knelt, dipping a container into the pool. While keeping her eyes on the surroundings, Suddenly, a rustle in the underbrush revealed a pack of mid-sized predators approaching. They were fast, silent, and clearly hunting. The students froze, unsure what to do. Orlan acted quickly, guiding them to higher ground and forming a protective circle. The predators watched, then slowly backed off. Earth tests not just strength, but teamwork and quick thinking, Orlan said. You must work together to survive. Humans do this instinctively, and it is part of why we can live here while others struggle. The students, exhausted but exhilarated, continued their exercises. They learned how to build simple shelters using branches and leaves, how to make fire safely, and how to identify tracks of predators to avoid danger. Every lesson reinforced the fact that Earth was unforgiving. As the sun began to set, the forest changed. Shadows lengthened, and the sounds of nocturnal creatures filled the air. The students huddled together, using their new skills to remain hidden. Lyra whispered to Kuro, I understand now. This planet is alive, but it is also relentless. It doesn't forgive mistakes. Kuro nodded. I feel it too. But humans. They seem to know how to survive anything here. They adapt, improvise, and face danger with courage. I don't know if I could have done half of this without Orlan guiding us. Night fell completely, and the forest came alive with new dangers. Strange howls echoed from the distance, and the students could hear smaller creatures moving nearby. Orlan reminded them to stay alert and silent. Hours passed in tense quiet. A sudden movement in the shadows revealed a predator scouting the area. Lyra and Kuro held their breath. Using their new skills, they moved silently to higher ground. The predator searched for a few moments before moving on. By dawn, the students were tired but wiser. They had faced real danger, used their intelligence and teamwork, and survived. They had learned that Earth was not cruel without reason. It demanded vigilance, skill, and courage, but it also rewarded those who could adapt. As they returned to the camp, Lyra reflected on the day's lessons. I thought I would fail. I thought this planet would be impossible. But we survived. I think I understand humans a little better now. Tiri nodded. Yes, humans are strong not just in body but in mind. They think, adapt, and act when others might freeze. That is why they survive on a Deathworld. Professor Orlan smiled, seeing the change in his students. Exactly. Earth is dangerous, yes, but it also teaches resilience. Those who learn its ways can thrive. And humans, well, they have mastered these lessons over millennia. The students sat quietly, exhausted, but proud. They had faced the forest's dangers, learned to work together, and begun to understand why Earth earned its fearsome title. Lyra looked at the dense forest and whispered to herself, I don't just want to survive here. I want to learn everything this planet has to teach. The forest seemed to settle as the morning sun rose higher, birds singing and insects buzzing. The students, though weary, felt a growing respect for Earth and for humans who called this world home. They had discovered a truth that textbooks could never teach. Surviving on a death world required more than strength. It required courage, adaptability, and a sharp mind. And for the first time, the alien students understood why Earth had earned its deadly reputation. The alien students woke to the sound of distant thunder echoing through the forest. The night had been restless, with shadows moving near their camp and strange calls from unseen creatures. Their bodies ached from the previous day's challenges, but there was no time to rest. Today, Professor Orlan said, they would face their final lesson. Understanding why Earth was truly a death world and why humans thrived here. Today, Orlan announced, you will venture into the deepest part of this forest. You will encounter predators, hazards, and the unexpected. But remember, the goal is not just to survive, is to learn how adaptation and intelligence make survival possible. Lyra adjusted her gear, her translucent skin shimmering under the early sun. Kuro flexed his forearms, scanning the area. Tiri's camouflage shifted to muted greens and browns, blending perfectly with the underbrush. The group set off carefully, every step deliberate. The forest was alive with movement. Birds flitted above, insects buzzed, and small animals darted through the foliage. Even the wind seemed purposeful, rustling leaves in warning. Lyra noticed the patterns the way predators left tracks, how smaller creatures moved cautiously. She realized that every movement could signal life, danger, or opportunity. After an hour of careful travel, they reached a rocky ridge. Orlan pointed toward a narrow valley below. "We will descend there," he said. "This is where Earth's lessons become clear. Pay attention to the environment, watch for predators, and stay alert." The students began their descent. Rocks slipped under their feet, and Kiro had to use all four arms to maintain balance. Lyra slipped once, catching herself on a sturdy root. She noticed the keen focus in humans. Their attention never wavered, even in dangerous situations. That focus, she realized, was part of what allowed them to survive this planet. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught their eyes. A pack of mid-sized predators appeared, moving quickly across the valley floor. Their eyes glowed faintly in the filtered sunlight, and their teeth were sharp. The students froze, unsure of what to do. Orlan gestured calmly. "Stay calm. Watch them, but do not panic. Observe, plan, and act." Lyra remembered her lessons. She scanned the environment for escape routes and possible distractions. Kiro quietly readied a makeshift net while Tiri blended into the shadows, ready to observe the predators' movements. The predators approached, sniffing the air. One lunged toward a small animal hiding in the underbrush. Orlan acted swiftly, throwing a noise-making device that startled the pack. They hesitated, then retreated, allowing the students to continue. "That," Orlan said, "is how humans survive. We anticipate, adapt, and act decisively. Panic is the enemy. Observation is the key." The students continued through the valley, more alert than ever. Every movement of the forest felt purposeful, every sound a warning. They crossed streams, climbed steep slopes, and avoided areas where predators could ambush them. Each challenge tested not just their physical abilities, but their minds. By midday, they reached a dense thicket where a fallen tree created a natural bridge over a small gorge. Orlan instructed them to cross carefully. Lyra went first, testing the balance of the tree. She felt it shift under her weight, but kept steady. Kiro followed, using his multiple arms to stabilize himself. Tiri moved silently, her camouflage making her almost invisible. As they crossed, a sudden roar erupted from below. A large predator, unseen until now, had been hunting in the area. Its powerful muscles and sharp claws made it a deadly threat. The students froze. Lyra's heart pounded. Kiro tensed. Terry's skin shifted to a darker shade, signaling fear. Orlan remained calm. "Remember what you have learned. Observe, plan, and act." Lyra scanned the environment. She noticed vines hanging from nearby trees. Quickly, she signaled to Kiro and Tiri. Together, they used the vines to swing to safety, moving above the predator's reach. Orlan followed, praising their quick thinking. "You see," he said, "this is what humans do. We do not rely solely on strength or speed. We think, we improvise, and we act. That is why we thrive here." After the narrow escape, the students took a brief rest. They had faced real danger, and each of them felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Lyra looked at Kiro. "I understand now. Earth is not just dangerous. It is a challenge that tests every skill you have." Kiro nodded. "Yes, and humans. They have mastered these challenges. They are clever, adaptable, and brave. I think I understand why they survive where others fail." Orlan smiled. "Exactly. Earth is not cruel without reason. It teaches resilience. Those who learn its lessons can thrive even in the deadliest conditions." The group continued through the forest, facing smaller hazards along the way, poisonous plants, hidden pitfalls, and sudden animal encounters. Each time the students applied what they had learned: observation, teamwork, and quick thinking. Slowly, they began to move with confidence. As evening approached, they reached a large clearing. In the center, a small stream wound through the grass, surrounded by towering trees. It was a beautiful sight, but Orlan warned them not to be distracted. Predators often hunted near water sources. The students set up a temporary camp, using skills they had practiced over the past 2 days. Lyra built a small shelter with branches and leaves. Kiro fashioned traps to catch small animals for food, and Tiri used her camouflage to watch for danger while the others rested. That night, the forest was alive with sound. Howls, cries, and rustling leaves filled the air. The students huddled together, remembering the lessons they had learned. Lyra whispered to Tiri, "I don't just want to survive here. I want to understand it. The forest, the creatures, and humans who live among them." Tiri nodded. "Yes, humans do not just face danger, they use it to learn and grow. That is what makes them strong." Suddenly, a distant predator approached. Its glowing eyes reflected the moonlight. The students froze, but this time they were not paralyzed by fear. They applied their training. Kiro set a small trap. Lyra guided the group to higher ground, and Tiri used her camouflage to distract the predator. The creature hesitated, then retreated into the shadows. Orlan nodded approvingly. "Well done. You are learning to adapt. That is the essence of surviving on a death world." As the students settled for the night, they reflected on their journey. They had faced dangers they could not have imagined, yet they had survived. More importantly, they had learned to think, observe, and act like humans. They understood that survival on Earth required more than strength. It required intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Lyra looked at the stars through the canopy. "I understand now why Earth is called a death world. It tests everything: body, mind, and spirit. But humans turn that challenge into strength." Kiro smiled. "Yes, and we have seen it firsthand. Humans face the deadliest creatures, the harshest environments, and the most unexpected dangers, and they survive. That is something we can respect and something we can learn from." The forest seemed too quiet as the night deepened. The alien students, tired but wiser, knew they had changed. They had faced Earth's dangers, learned its lessons, and discovered the human advantage. They had seen why humans thrived on a planet that could have destroyed them in moments. In the morning, the students packed their gear and prepared to return to the academy. They were no longer the nervous, fragile learners who had arrived 2 days ago. They were stronger, wiser, and deeply respectful of Earth and its inhabitants. Lyra turned to Orlan. "I understand now. Earth is a death world, yes, but humans. They are the reason life survives here. They face danger, adapt, and turn survival into mastery." Orlan smiled. "Exactly. That is the lesson. Danger exists everywhere, but humans have learned to use it, to respect it, and to thrive. You have seen it for yourselves. Remember this, and you will never underestimate them again." As their shuttle lifted off from the forest clearing, the students looked back at the planet below. Blue oceans, green forests, and jagged mountains stretched endlessly. Earth was alive, beautiful, and deadly. They had discovered its secrets, faced its dangers, and understood why humans had earned their reputation as the ultimate survivors of a death world. And for the first time, they realized that survival was not just about strength, it was about intelligence, courage, and the will to adapt. Humanity had mastered all three. That mastery had earned Earth its fearsome title. The alien students would return to their homeworlds with stories of danger, beauty, and the resilience of humans. They would tell others that Earth was a death world, yes, but one where humans ruled not because of raw power, but because of their unmatched ability to adapt, think, and survive. The shuttle disappeared into the sky, leaving the forest behind. Life continued on Earth, vibrant and relentless. And somewhere in the alien students' hearts, a deep respect for humans and their death world had taken root. The high towers of the intergalactic academy gleamed under the pale light of the nearby star. Young aliens from hundreds of worlds bustled through the halls, their scales, feathers, and luminous skin reflecting the soft glow of the corridors. The academy was famous across galaxies, a place where the best and brightest came to learn about other worlds, cultures, and species. In one enormous lecture hall, Dozens of alien students settled into floating seats that hovered a few inches above the floor. The walls were alive with shifting holographic displays, showing planets, star systems, and strange cosmic phenomena. The excitement in the room was almost electric. Today's lecture was about Earth, a planet spoken about with both fear and fascination in every corner of the galaxy. Professor Velrix, an older alien with glimmering green eyes and a calm, commanding presence, floated to the front of the hall. His long, spindly arms adjusted a series of holographic controls, and the room darkened. Today, he began, his voice smooth but carrying across the hall. We will learn why Earth is called a Deathworld. Some of you may already know the tales, but seeing is far more revealing than hearing. Ripple of whispers ran through the students. Some of them had already heard the terrifying stories. Earth was a planet where life seemed to fight against life constantly. Deadly predators, raging storms, poisonous plants, and extreme temperatures all existed there. But humans, those strange bipedal creatures, some claimed they were even more dangerous than the planet itself. Zyron, student from the icy world of Trellis, leaned forward. His blue eyes, wide with curiosity, scanned the glowing images of Earth. His people preferred cold, predictable climates. The chaos of a planet like Earth was almost unimaginable. Why would anyone survive there? He whispered to his neighbor, a small, tentacled student from the desert world of Karun. I heard humans fight giant animals for fun. The Karun student replied, her tentacles quivering nervously. Or that they dive into storms and deserts just to test themselves. Professor Velrix's voice cut through the murmurs. You will see soon enough that humans are unlike any other species. Their planet is harsh, unforgiving, yet they thrive. They do not merely survive, they dominate. This is why Earth earns the name Deathworld, and this is why humanity is feared and respected across the stars. The holographic display shifted, showing Earth in all its glory and terror. Towering mountain ranges stretched beneath swirling storm clouds. Oceans churned with violent waves. Forests teemed with unseen predators, and deserts burned under an unrelenting sun. The students gasped at the images. Look closely, Velrix continued. Notice the variety of dangers, from poisonous plants to enormous beasts, from extreme heat to freezing cold. From storms that can flatten cities to earthquakes that crack the land itself. Earth's life is constantly testing itself, and the humans are part of that test. They have learned to overcome every challenge. Zyron's stomach tightened. He had trained in many survival simulations on Trellis, but none of them compared to this. He had heard stories of humans who fought giant predators, endured brutal climates, and even thrived on planets that would kill most species within hours. Could any student here survive on Earth for even a day? He doubted it. The professor's talons tapped a control panel, and the hall dimmed further. A new image appeared, a human, young and athletic, walking calmly through a forest filled with towering predators. The alien students leaned closer. The human's movements were precise, careful, yet confident. He carried only a small pack and a simple tool. This is Lieutenant Aaron, Professor Velrix said. He will demonstrate for you the abilities that make humans so remarkable. Watch closely and try to understand why Earth is called a Deathworld, not because the planet itself is evil, but because it creates beings capable of mastering even its deadliest challenges. The holovid began to play. Aaron navigated a simulated Earth forest. He jumped across a stream, climbed a rocky ledge, and avoided a snapping predator that lunged from behind a tree. The alien students gasped. One of the smaller, delicate-feathered students whispered, "It's only a simulation." Right? Velrix shook his head slowly. The simulation is designed to match the deadliest environments humans face. Every river, cliff, predator, and storm is based on real Earth data. Aaron is real. His skills are real. And his survival instincts are what allow humans to thrive where most species would perish. The footage continued. Aaron was now in a desert simulation. The sun blazed overhead, and the ground cracked beneath his feet. His breathing was measured, controlled. He found water in a tiny, hidden spring, built a simple shelter. and moved without attracting predators that the simulation projected would be nearby. Zaren's eyes widened. On Trellis, survival depended on endurance and cold resistance. Desert survival required heat adaptation, but nothing here seemed natural. How could a human stay calm in such extremes? How could they know exactly what to do without any guidance? The simulation shifted again. Aaron faced a massive storm at sea. Waves towered over him. Lightning struck dangerously close, and the wind tried to push him into the water. Yet he navigated carefully, using his small craft skillfully, maintaining balance and avoiding disaster. When the storm reached its peak, Aaron shouted commands to his team, but even alone, he would have survived. The aliens were astonished. Ziran could not help but mutter, "This is impossible." Belrix's eyes gleamed. Impossible for most species. Humans are exceptional. Their minds, bodies, and spirits are forged on a planet that tests everything. Life on Earth is constant struggle, and humans have learned to embrace it, to rise above it, and to turn it into strength. Another student, a tall insectoid alien named Grivok, raised a question. But surely they must fail sometimes. Even the strongest creatures cannot survive everything. Felrix nodded. True, humans do face danger and failure. But even when they fail, they learn, adapt, and continue. That is what separates them from other species. They grow stronger with every challenge, while most others are broken by it. This is why Earth is feared and why its inhabitants are legendary. The lecture hall was silent for a moment. The alien students were overwhelmed. They had come expecting stories of horror and danger. They had not expected awe, admiration, or respect. They had not expected to see an ordinary human outperform expectations that no other species could meet. Zaren's mind raced. He had imagined Earth as a world of danger where no one could survive. Yet now he saw why humans thrived there. The planet was harsh, yes, but it was the crucible that created the strongest, most adaptable species in the galaxy. The professor floated closer to the students, his voice soft but firm. Remember this day. The galaxy has underestimated humans for centuries. Their planet tests them, shapes them, and prepares them for challenges no other species can endure. And when you face humans, remember they are not defined by weakness, danger, or fear. They are defined by their ability to conquer all of it. And the holovid faded, leaving only the glowing image of Earth hanging in the air. The alien students stared at it in stunned silence. Ziran felt a mix of fear, respect, and fascination. He could not wait for part 2, where he would see a live demonstration of human skill and courage. As the lecture ended, students floated toward the exit, their minds buzzing. Whispers filled the hall, but one thought was clear in every mind. Humans were not merely survivors. They were masters of a world. It's designed to destroy them. Ziran looked back once at the floating hologram of Earth. His voice was barely audible. If this is a death world, then humans are its true rulers. And with that, the students left the hall, unaware that their first lesson in humanity's greatness had only just begun.